And welcome back to the Cam Rogers Show. Cam Rogers coming at you. We have Steve Mariucci on the line right now. Joining us, of course, NFL Network analyst, former NFL head coach as well. Steve, appreciate the time, sir. Welcome to Dallas. How we doing?
Hi, Cam. Good morning. It's great. I got in here a couple nights ago, did some shows and some rehearsal stuff. We went over to the stadium yesterday. Have you been over there yet? Wait till you see AT&T Stadium. Oh, my goodness.
Oh, I bet
Unbelievable.
It's eye-opening. Yeah.
Yeah, you know, Jerry Jones wants to outdo Philadelphia. They did a heck of a job with this draft last year and had a couple 100,000 people, and Jerry wants to blow that away, and he's really doing it all out. It's going to be fantastic.
Absolutely exciting at that. A lot of storylines, Steve, to break down here. I want to kick things off with the Browns, of course, selecting number 1 and number 4 overall. John Dorsey has been fairly quiet in terms of what Cleveland could do here. So what are you expecting in those first 2 picks for the Browns?
Well, they're going to have to address the quarterback situation. They've been trying to do that for decades now, and they've got a couple of new quarterbacks with Tyrod Taylor and Drew Stanton to hold down the fort as long as the new guy, whoever that might be, is in waiting, in training. And I know John Dorsey pretty well. We worked together for the Green Bay Packers. I was in the coaching side of it, and he was with the scouting side of it with Ron Wolf. And I also know Hugh Jackson. He worked for me. He was my offensive coordinator at University of California. So I go way back with both of these guys. And, it's been tough in Cleveland, 1-31 in the last couple of years. And they have a lot of needs. They've done a heck of a job putting that team, back together again, adding some free agents. Jarvis Landry was a terrific pickup in the offseason, and Jeff Janis and Carlos Hyde. But they've got to address the quarterback spot. So one of those 2 picks, for sure, number 1 or number 4, will be the quarterback of their choice. If it's a slam dunk decision and they know which one of these 4 they have to take him number 1 so they don't risk losing him. And then their number 4 pick, they're going to get a great player, whether it's going to be a Bradley Chubb to rush the passer opposite Myles Garrett, or a guy like Saquon Barkley, he's probably the best player in this draft overall, or a guy like Quentin Nelson. I mean, there will be guys there that they could choose from in terms of who is the next best player for them. They will get a couple of great players in this draft along with their free agents, and this team is beginning to look like a real football team.
No doubt about it. I think they're certainly on the upswing here, Steve. Of course, we are on Facebook Live, so we're getting comments. And Travis will ask the question that he has for you, Steve, talking about the quarterback position. Where do you see Baker Mayfield ending up in the draft?
How many times did we do mock drafts this week? In fact, we did
Exactly.
Another one yesterday. How many times? And, most of the time, he will not be the first guy chosen. Most of the time it's Sam Darnold, but not all of the time. I'm hearing rumors that the Browns are considering him number 1. I am hearing rumors that he's the number 2 guy and will go to the New York Jets. That's why Baskin and Robbins has 31 flavors. There's a variety of opinions on these quarterbacks. Some like Darnold, some like Rosen, some like Josh Allen, some like Baker Mayfield. And you know what? They're all going to get taken very early. They're all probably going to be top 10 or top 12 picks for sure. And so I'm anxious to see where they end up, because we'd be guessing at this point, but they're all going to go early.
Yeah, the rumors are certainly swirling. Meanwhile, the big question is, what does Dave Gettleman do with the number 2 overall pick? Do you think he trades back, or is he going Saquon or Chubb, Steve?
You know what? I think he's going to take the entire 10 minutes and kind of wait for that phone to ring, and it will ring, okay? His phone will be off the hook because people are going to want to move up to number 2 and get the quarterback of their choice, okay? And I think he can afford to do that. Does he have to have a quarterback? No, he really doesn't, because I got a feeling Eli Manning will have found the fountain of youth. Yes, Giant fans, listen to me now. I think I think Eli Manning is going to have a little rebirth here because Pat Shurmur is going to bring in a real quarterback-friendly offense. You know, Odell Beckham is going to come back. He was gone. They just signed Nate Solder, a left tackle, a bodyguard for him. So they might just sit there and pick the best player available, and it will probably be either Saquon Barkley, a great runner, not just a good runner, he's a great kid too, or a Bradley Chubb. And so you're talking about sitting in a good place with Dave Gettleman. He's going to leave all options open. But like I said, he doesn't have to take the quarterback of the future, because I think whoever he would take is going to sit behind Eli for a couple, 3 years. Now you're going to say, well, Aaron Rodgers did that and it worked out. But I'm telling you, the Giants spent a lot of money, $200 million a couple years ago on defense. They've got to get some better results from that defense, but they can make their team better without doing a new quarterback right away. So I got a feeling when it's all said and done, he will have traded back a little bit.
Well, Steve, I'd be remiss if I didn't talk a little Cowboys here. And a question we got from Josh here. He's wondering if the Dallas Cowboys are going to make a trade for Earl Thomas, perhaps within that draft there. Could you foresee that?
A trade for who now?
Earl Thomas. That's the rumor.
Yeah, because Earl Thomas went in their locker room after the game and expressed an interest because he's a Texas kid. That Seahawk team's coming apart, isn't it?
Yeah.
And no more Legion of Boom. I don't know about all that trade talk with Earl Thomas. I'm not sure that will happen or can happen. I do know that the Dallas Cowboys will be very well prepared for this draft. Their defense was a top 10 defense last year. They were eighth overall and 8th against the run. And if they add to the defense, it'll probably be a defensive lineman or even a linebacker. Sean Lee's not getting any younger. But the obvious hole that they have is to fill Des Bryant's spot. And so there will be a multitude of receivers at that pick, number 19. And they'll have their choice, whether it's a Calvin Ridley or a DJ Moore or Christian Kirk or Cortland Sutton. And there are a lot of receivers that should be available right then and there at number 19 to make their team better. So, I think you got to help Dak out, Dak Prescott's a heck of a quarterback. He's got his runner. He's got a pretty darn good offensive line.
Right.
But give him another weapon to throw to, because they added Allen Hurns, but Cole Beasley and Terrence Williams are good players, but they're not number ones. They need to find a number one over there.
Now, of course, Steve, you know Brett Favre quite well. And you look at Josh Allen, he's drawing some Brett Favre type of comparisons here. So are you buying into that?
I don't know if he talks with a southern drawl. He's kind of a cowboy kind of guy from Wyoming up there. But I think the comparison, Cam, would be, with his arm strength. And I think the other comparison too is, we have so much time to prepare for this draft. We pick apart every one of these kids and look for positives, obviously, but we also look for negatives. Does a guy have a wart on his foot? I mean, anything. And of course, the nick on Josh Allen is that he's not a real accurate passer. He's 56.2% passer. He's got the strongest arm in a long time in this draft. But that's not unlike Brett Favre, maybe the strongest arm ever. And Brett was only 52% coming out of Southern Mississippi, too. Sometimes when you throw too hard, some guys just don't want to catch it. So, but a guy like Matthew Stafford, same thing. He was only 57% coming out of Georgia. He was the first pick in the draft. And believe me, there is talk that Josh Allen could very well be the first pick in this draft to Cleveland, because they like him. I hope none of these quarterbacks has to play right away. I hope they can sit, and they all have a guy in front of him a little bit that can take the reins for a bit while he's learning. I'm not saying spend 3 years like Aaron Rodgers did, but I'm saying spend some time watching and learning, and a little bit more like a Jared Goff with the Rams approach in his first year, where he only started 7 games, and then of course his sophomore year was terrific. So we'll see. But Josh Allen, he's a tough kid. He's a good kid. He's got a great upside. He's going to be a 6'5", 240-pound guy that runs a 4.75.
Right.
And so he's got all the physical qualifications you need. He just needs a little time and some polishing, and I think he's going to be a real gem.
All right, Steve, wrapping this up here, I do want to ask you about the New England Patriots. And you were recently with Mason Rudolph, so I'm wondering, are we looking at the potentiality that New England selects the Tom Brady successor here in the first round?
Yeah, I like Mason Rudolph. He's a good kid, and he had a very productive college experience over there at Oklahoma State. But I don't know that they're going to take a quarterback in the first round unless they really fall in love with a guy. I think they've had so much success, and luck, and a little bit of luck with Tom Brady's health, and they do need to find a guy. Let me just throw this out. Can you believe, Cam, that the Jimmy Garoppolo trade ended up to be the 43rd pick in the draft, of this year's draft. So you got to essentially plug in Jimmy Garoppolo at number 43 this year.
Right.
There will be 6 quarterbacks taken in this draft before that, all right? And I don't know if any of them are going to be better than Jimmy Garoppolo. I don't know. I mean, the Niners got a steal on that draft trade. I mean, they got the better end of that stick, believe me, because all these, you think about Carson Wentz and Jared Goff and all the draft picks that it took to go up and take those kids, a couple of 1s, couple of 2s and 3s. I mean, they sold a ranch to get those guys. And the Niners only had to give up the 43rd pick in the draft. Oh, my God. But anyway, I think the Patriots will, in fact, take a guy. I don't think it's going to be the first round. They have some needs to fill. But there will be guys, maybe Mason Rudolph in the second round. Okay, I think he's going to stay there until the second round. Okay. There are guys like Luke Falk from Washington State, guys like Kyle Aletta from Richmond that are really good players. And if they sit behind Brady for a couple years, they will be very good quarterbacks in this league. So I'm looking for the Patriots to do something like that, second or third round instead.
You heard it from the man, ladies and gentlemen. Steve Mariucci joining the Cam Rogers Show here today. Steve, really appreciate the time. Wish you the best here throughout the week, and give Tyler my best as well.
I sure will. I'll talk to him again today. And Cam, thanks for having me on.